Why do you feel mentally exhausted by noon? Why does trying harder always seem to make things worse? Why do you absorb information all day and remember almost none of it? It's not your focus. It's not your discipline. It's not even your schedule. It's something the Koreans figured out a long time ago. And the moment you understand it, the way you approach every single day changes. You already know what it feels like to try everything. You've journaled. You've set alarms. You've made promises to yourself at midnight that you've broken by 9 a.m. And the brutal part? You're not failing because you're not trying. You're failing because you're trying in the wrong direction. Here's the thing. You're not broken. You're just missing a system that knows when not to push. Today, we're going to look at 6 Korean habits, rooted in real culture and real psychology, that make you sharper, calmer, and more capable without adding a single thing to your to-do list. The first habit is called Nunchi. Nunchi means the art of reading the room without being told what to read. But not the kind where you're constantly scanning for danger or people-pleasing to survive. That's anxiety. Nunchi is different. In Korea, Nunchi is considered one of the highest forms of intelligence. Children are taught it early. It's the reason Korean workplaces move fast without constant verbal instruction. People read energy, context, and unspoken signals, and they act accordingly, without wasting effort on the wrong things. Here's why this works. When you develop Nunchi, you stop spending cognitive energy on misreads. You stop sending emails that get ignored. You stop having conversations that go nowhere. Your mental bandwidth clears up, not because you did more, but because you stopped pushing in directions that were never going to move. Want to think more clearly? Here's exactly how to use this. For the next 3 days, before you respond to anything, an email, a conversation, a decision, pause for 5 seconds and ask, what is actually being asked of me here? Not what you think is being asked. What's actually being asked? And here's what happens when you do this. You start spending your mental energy on things that matter. You get sharper, not because you learned more, because you stopped wasting effort. And that brings us to the second habit is called Han. Han means sorrow that doesn't break you, it quietly builds you. But not the kind where you dwell in pain or where you're suffering like a badge. That's rumination. Han is the opposite. In Korea, Han is woven into art, music, and everyday language. It's the reason Korean culture produces some of the most emotionally resilient people in the world. They don't suppress hardship. They alchemize it, letting difficult experiences quietly deepen their character without consuming it. Here's the truth. The reason you feel stuck after a setback isn't because the setback was too big. It's because nobody taught you what to do with it. Studies show that people who process negative experience with acceptance rather than avoidance show up to 40% more cognitive flexibility afterward. Han is ancient Korea's way of doing exactly that. Want to stop letting your past slow your present? So try this. The next time something difficult happens, write 1 sentence about it, not about how it hurt, but about what it revealed. 1 sentence. That's Han in practice. The wound becomes the lens. The loss becomes the teacher. And that brings us to, don't skip ahead, habit number 4 is the exact reason you feel mentally cluttered even on your days off, and it's the opposite of everything productivity culture has told you. The third habit is called Jeong. Jeong means deep emotional attachment, the invisible bond that forms between people and even places over time. But not the kind where you cling to things or relationships out of fear of losing them. That's attachment from scarcity. Jeong is different. In Korea, Jeong develops slowly and naturally. It's why Koreans can feel fiercely loyal to a neighborhood restaurant, a decades-old friendship, or a worn-out mug. It's not nostalgia. It's intentional depth. Research on social connection consistently shows that people with a few high Jeong relationships report sharper decision-making, lower cortisol, and 31% less cognitive fatigue than people with many shallow ones. Here's the thing. Your brain doesn't get smarter in isolation. It gets smarter in relationship. Deep connection reduces the background noise of loneliness and threat, and that frees up processing power. Want to think more clearly? Here's exactly how to use this. Choose 1 relationship this week, a friend, a family member, a colleague, and give it 1 real moment of your full attention. No phone. No agenda. Just presence. That's Jeong. The deeper your roots, the quieter your mind. And that brings us to the 4th habit is called Dangsim. Dangsim means mental centering, returning to your own ground when everything around you is pulling. But not the kind where you zone out, detach, or go to your happy place. That's avoidance. Dangsim is active. In Korea, Dangsim is practiced in martial arts, medicine, and business. It's the ability to stay rooted, mentally and emotionally, while staying fully present. Korean doctors practicing hanbang medicine teach patients to feel the center of their chest and consciously return to it before major decisions or high-stress moments. Here's why this works. When you're mentally uncentered, you make reactive decisions. You respond to urgency instead of importance. You confuse busy for productive. Studies show that even a 90-second centering practice before a complex task improves accuracy by up to 23%. Your brain literally performs better when it knows where home is. Want to feel less scattered? So try this. Right now, or before your next meeting, your next conversation, your next hard decision, put one hand on your chest. Breathe in for 4 counts. Out for 6. That's Dangsim. That's your center. This is the habit that doesn't look like anything, but it changes everything. And that brings us to the 5th habit is called Heung. Heung means spontaneous joy, the aliveness that happens when you let yourself actually feel something good. But not the kind of joy that's scheduled, optimized, or performed for social media. That's performance. Heung is unself-conscious. In Korea, Heung shows up at celebrations, in market alleyways, at family tables where someone starts dancing for no reason. It's not entertainment. It's a release valve for the nervous system. And it's treated as necessary, not optional. Korean researchers studying cognitive recovery found that spontaneous positive emotional experiences restore executive function almost 3 times faster than passive rest. Here's the truth. You are not being productive when you're burning out. You're just spending tomorrow's energy today. Heung isn't a reward for finishing the work. It's part of the work. Want more mental energy? Here's exactly how to use this. Find one thing today that makes you feel genuinely, unself-consciously good, and do it without justifying it. A song at full volume. A walk that has no destination. 5 minutes of something that makes you smile for no reason. That's Heung. The brain that plays is the brain that learns. And that brings us to the 6th habit is called Ppalli-ppalli. Ppalli-ppalli means do it fast and do it well. But not the kind of speed that cuts corners, rushes through conversations, or skips the details. That's panic. Ppalli-ppalli is precision at pace. In Korea, Ppalli-ppalli is a cultural superpower. It's why South Korea rebuilt from devastation to a global technology leader in a single generation. It's not about being hasty. It's about eliminating unnecessary hesitation. Korean businesses, engineers, and creatives learn to move decisively not because they have fewer doubts, but because they've trained the gap between thought and action to shrink. Here's the thing. Most of your mental clutter isn't complexity. It's indecision on low-stakes things. Research shows that decision fatigue, the mental drain from too many small choices, reduces problem-solving quality by up to 30% by midday. Ppalli-ppalli collapses that drain. Want to think faster and feel lighter? So try this. Pick the 3 lowest-stakes decisions you make every day: what to eat for lunch, which email to answer first, what to wear, and make a standing rule for each. 1 rule. No deliberation. That's Ppalli-ppalli applied. Your brain stops wasting energy on things that don't matter and saves it for the things that do. Speed isn't rushing. Speed is trusting yourself. Here's what we covered today. Nunchi teaches you that intelligence isn't about knowing more, it's about reading what's actually in front of you. Nunchi gives you clarity without effort. Han teaches you that difficulty isn't an obstacle to your growth, it's the material your growth is made of. Han gives you resilience that compounds over time. Jeong teaches you that deep connection isn't a luxury, it's a cognitive tool. Jeong protects your mental energy by building the relationships that quiet the background noise. Dangsim teaches you that staying centered isn't passive, it's one of the highest performance habits you can build. Dangsim anchors your mind before everything else. Heung teaches you that joy isn't a reward, it's maintenance. Heung restores what focus depletes. And Ppalli-ppalli teaches you that speed isn't the enemy of quality, hesitation is. Ppalli-ppalli frees your decision-making so your thinking can go deeper where it counts. Here's the thing about all 6 of these habits. None of them ask you to do more. They ask you to do less of the wrong things. Read more carefully. Feel more honestly. Connect more deeply. Decide more cleanly. Rest more completely. Move more decisively. Korean culture has always understood something that modern productivity culture missed. The brain is not a machine that needs more fuel. It's a living system that needs the right conditions. Nunchi, Han, Jeong, Dangsim, Heung, Ppalli-ppalli, these aren't 6 separate practices. They're 6 doors into the same room. A room where you're not grinding against yourself. Where you're not white-knuckling your potential. Where trying less, in exactly the right places, makes you smarter in all the ways that actually matter. If this shifted how you think about what smart actually looks like, hit subscribe, because this channel is about finding the systems that already work and learning to live inside them. And let me know in the comments which habit you're trying first.